What's up, people? Today I'm going to be getting into my Cabin in the Woods Blu-ray and 4K review coming up for you guys next. So to continue my Blu-ray reviews that were left over from Halloween, I am going to be talking about Cabin in the Woods today. We're going to be getting right into it, starting off with the Blu-ray. This Blu-ray looks really pretty damn good. It came out in 2012, and for a movie that was shelved for a little bit even beforehand, this movie looks really good. And what is quite striking is the fact that as this movie goes on, especially when we do get to the second half of the film, when we get to the real spoilers and things really start picking up and we get the different settings, it looks crazy good, but with the caveat that the CGI in this movie has never looked really good, and this Blu-ray doesn't really help out in that department. I just feel like the CGI here for a movie that didn't really cost that much is kind of shoddy, so I just want to put that out there. Not so good CG in this movie. But the Blu-ray transfer is very inky also. It has very deep inky blacks, and you take some compromise with that. That can leave the image looking a little flat, and that can also leave it looking a little not as sharp as some of the other Blu-rays that you might have in your collection, but that is intentional for this film. And even though it does create problems, I don't really fault this transfer too much for it. And for that, I would have to give the Blu-ray of Cabin in the Woods an 8. This is a really solid Blu-ray that was really looking good for the budget that it had. So to get into the real reason that you're actually watching this video, you guys want to get into how good the 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray looks, and this is something that came out late September, and I'm just getting into it now. This actually does come with Dolby Vision, and I did get to check it out in Dolby Vision. The Dolby Vision helps out the color palette here so-so, but it isn't going to be that stark contrast that you guys are kind of looking for. I will just say that black levels here look really good and allow a lot more sharpness in the overall picture quality than the standard Blu-ray, and that is going to be the absolute biggest difference here. The black levels here are really a step up from the standard Blu-ray, but that is what I expected. Unfortunately, the CGI still does look shoddy. I don't really see a whole lot of difference between the Blu-ray and the 4K Blu-ray. That is something that is inherent with the movie, and I feel like the budget, rather than something that a 4K transfer is going to fix. And also, this transfer isn't the sharpest transfer in the book. It does have a lot of grain in it, especially for a 4K transfer, and I definitely feel like the low production values are kind of showing with this one. And for that, I'll have to give this a 6 out of 10. I feel like this 4K transfer could be better, and I feel like it was kind of pushed out the door. So next, we're going to be getting into the audio of Cabin in the Woods, and you won't want to miss that because I have a lot to talk about there coming up next. So the audio of Cabin in the Woods, I will start off with the Blu-ray, and that offers a DTS HD 7.1 track. You know, this is a very lively track, and it is like a very hard-hitting one also. When those horror moments hit and when that bass is supposed to surprise you, guess what? That bass surprises you, and it gets up in you, and ooh. Especially when you get into the later half of the film with the more sci-fi elements come into play here, this sound stage definitely opens up, and it feels vast, and it feels really damn big, and I feel like this is a really great mix, and I will give it an all-out 10 out of 10. And I feel like if you guys want a damn good horror mix, you can't go wrong with the Cabin in the Woods. That is, unless you have a 4K Blu-ray player with a 4K setup. Because if you do, you definitely want to get this disc, and that is because of the audio here. The audio is bumped up to a Dolby Atmos track, and it is awesome. I didn't really have a lot of expectations for this Dolby Atmos track. I kind of felt like it wasn't needed for this movie. But let me tell you, it absolutely is. When the horror elements hit here, this definitely feels like it just livens up your soundstage. I love how this movie sounds in Dolby Atmos, and I didn't expect to. And I know I keep saying this, but in the end, when shit goes crazy, oh man, you hear it in your height speakers, and it just seems like absolute balls to the walls chaos in your living room. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I really, really dug this mix. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I have to. So next we're going to get into the special features of Cabin in the Woods, and you guys won't want to miss it coming up next. So special features for Cabin in the Woods, I'll get right into it, starting with the audio commentary with director Drew Goddard and writer Joss Whedon. These guys were pretty damn funny together, and I feel like they have a lot of good interplay with each other. They're really fun to listen to, and they are pretty informative, but really this is just a very funny and entertaining audio commentary track that really lets you into their minds and how they think when they are coming up with their material, and I just feel like that's really cool, and I just really like listening to Joss Whedon talk about his projects. There's also a featurette that deals with basically Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon's writing process and how they brainstormed ideas, and also how they laid things out at the beginning of their day. It's your typical like making of featurette. There's also some, behind the scenes stuff as well. And also there are two other featurettes that go into the production design that actually went into Cabin in the Woods. Those are really cool. They're pretty short, but they are still really cool. There's also a featurette that goes into the visual effects and the CG in the movie. I know that I said that I wasn't 100% pleased with the CG in this movie, but still, this is how they made it. And then there's a pretty funny Q&A with Joss Whedon and Drew Goddard at WonderCon. That is really cool, and it's a decent length. It's about half an hour, so that's really cool. And before I give my rating, I will just say that there is a picture-in-picture mode that comes along with just the Blu-ray. So it wasn't transferred over to the 4K Blu-ray. And just for that, I have to ding this, just because of the fact that I feel like it is important to specify when these things do happen and when 4K titles don't get the same special features that were on the standard Blu-ray disc, because they should. So for that, I will have to give this Blu-ray special features and 7 out of 10. This is a really solid one, but I will give the 4K a 6. You gotta give us the same special features on both discs, people, in both releases, really. So next, we're going to be getting into my last looks at Cabin in the Woods, coming up next. Cabin in the Woods is a really great, very meta movie that deals with the horror movie genre. And if you were looking for a movie that really acknowledges stereotypical horror movie tropes and really just goes into it in a very playful way, this movie actually does that. This is a very smart movie that won't gross you out. I don't feel like the kills in this movie are very gut-wrenching. It's not like you're looking at it like, oof. But at the same point in time, this movie is a whole lot of fun, and it plays with the horror movie genre in ways that you don't normally see every day, and this comes across as a very original horror movie. And if you guys didn't see my actual movie review, I gave it a 9 out of 10, which is pretty damn high, but I feel like it deserved it. And that brings the actual Blu-ray score, when you add up all the scores, to a 34. I did give the 4K Blu-ray a 31. I dinged it for the video quality. It didn't have as much as an upgrade as it probably should have had. But at the same point in time, it also skipped a special feature, and that is why that got the lower score. But I will just say the Dolby Atmos track on the 4K disc with the Dolby Atmos is really, really something special. So next, I do have to get into my Blu-ray review for Bubba Hotep. And after that, I'm going to be getting into DC, baby, so it's all good. Subscribe so you can know when those videos come out. And comment, do you agree that the video transfer on this 4K disc isn't that great? I don't think so, but I want to know what you think. If you own it, let me know down below what you thought of the video score. And as always, guys, thank you for watching my videos so early on. You guys are great, and I will see all of you next time.